Now, before we do this, let's go over the ground rules. Rule number 1. No touching of the hair or face.
Of course.
And that's it!
You play as a unicorn.
I see assholes like you every day.
Every fucking day. Think you gonna get away with it? Not up in here!
Not up in here!
Ma, the meatloaf!
Unfortunately, I think the amateur status of the company has come through, and they bit off more than they could chew.
And I feel totally embarrassed about that whole scenario.
Welcome to Game Theory. Join me, your host Souls, and my co-hosts, Tastes Like Chicken, Hey Carnut, and Lemon, as we discuss the latest gaming topics. Oh no. Oh no! I did it again.
Steve! Do something with this guy, please!
Hello everyone, welcome to GameTheoryCast number 14. My name is Souls, and joining me today as always are my co-hosts TL Chicken and Hey Carnut. Welcome guys.
Howdy.
Greetings.
I would like to take a second to introduce our special guests. Joining us today from Two Dawn Games, we have Ken Payne, Boris, Ustaev, and John Lorber here to talk about the game they're making called Ravaged. Thanks for being here and welcome to the show, guys.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey. What's going on?
So, how did you get into gaming, Ken? How did you get into gaming and programming and such, Ken?
Oh man, that goes way back. Gaming, just video games when I was a kid, you know, arcades, Ataris, all that fun stuff. And programming, well, hanging out at my aunt and uncle's house, they had like a TRS-80. I think that was back in '79 or something like that. And I just started jumping on it. I was watching my aunt program, and I just jumped on it and tried to mimic what she was doing, right? And you know, I just, you know, she's like, oh, let me fix it for you. And before I knew it, you know, there's like a loop doing something, praying stuff out. And, you know, I just kind of, you know, took a liking for it, just started doing it, and seemed to have a kind of a natural talent for it. So I just went from there, you know.
So you started programming at an early age?
Yeah, I guess I was about 9 then. I really started doing it when I was like 10 or 11. My mom was actually working at Apple. She started working at Apple, and we got an Apple II and started doing that, trying to make games. And I was doing graphics, learned BASIC, and then learned assembly language and all that. Just having fun, you know.
Absolutely.
Boris, we have you down here as the co-creator of Two Dawn and creative director and lead animator. How did you get started doing animation stuff?
Oh wow. Yeah, that's probably about 20 years ago. Basically just, you know, I used to love doing cell animation and drawing by hand, and my father kept telling me, if you keep doing that, you're going to be a poor artist begging in the street. So he said you should get into computers. So I went to college, I saw some computers, I saw you can do art on them, and, you know, and the rest is history.
Cool, man. Sounds like a lot of fun. And John, I want to ask you the same thing. How did you get started with game designing? And I noticed you also do UI programming. You're also, is it correct that you're a UDK scripter or Unreal scripter?
Yeah, that's right. Basically, I've always been into programming and so forth. Much like, I actually have a very surprising history to Ken that I didn't realize. But always, you know, being a very big fan of playing games, and always wanting like a little bit more to have them a little bit different, and always having my own ideas on what would actually make them better was something that always kind of drove me. And just, you know, programming small stuff here and there along the way, and eventually, you know, things kind of just started gelling. Getting involved with this project has really been fantastic.
Cool, man. Said?
Yeah, so you guys as a group, how did the whole Two Dawn thing start? how did you guys start with the idea of making Ravaged first, and then you decided to form your own sort of group, or did you guys do any sort of other projects before this?
Um, I guess. Do you want to ask somebody specifically, or just anybody?
That's for you, Boris.
I was trying to avoid that one, but actually, it was me and a friend of mine who started this about 2 years ago, and we were going to go a completely different direction from this game. And we talked about it for a while, and we decided let's do this type of game because this is something I actually love. I grew up watching Mad Max, and I always loved post-apocalyptic stuff. And for me, the games that are currently out now that kind of resemble post-apocalyptic aren't exactly what I envisioned. So we decided to go for this type of direction. And in terms of how we got the group together, well, once we figured out what genre we wanted to go and do, the hard part was getting very good, talented people to join us. Because all we have is an idea, and there was a lot of people along the way who loved it and joined and then left, and but only the few hardcore guys who not just loved the idea but loved what they were doing and stayed on, and you're talking to a few of them right now.
Did you, at any point in time, decide, hey, let's try to pitch this to a publisher, or were you always going to be going the indie route?
You know what? We talked about it on and off, but I think we want to just go indie, to be honest with you.
More flexibility?
Yeah, I've actually worked at Chaos, doing animations there for a little while, and I saw how everything was run, and yeah, it's just to be able to create what you want, and nobody having to tell you what to do and how to do it, and what they'd like to see, and what's not going to work for them. I just love the fact that we have this creative freedom that I think we wouldn't have if we were under a publisher.
Because that was more of a job for you, right?
Yes, exactly. That was way more of a job. This is a labor of love. I mean, honestly, I have a full-time job, and when I come home from work, this is the first thing I do until 3 o'clock every morning, and then all weekend long, this is what we're doing.
You gotta love it because you have to put up with me, so.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the cool thing when I jumped on is that, as you guys would ask me what I liked, and it's like, well, when I would start like coding this or that, I like just like, at first I was like, I'll throw this in there. They'll probably yell at me, but I'll do it anyways. And a lot of times you guys are like, oh, cool, that's cool. Let's leave it in there. And that was one of the reasons that really kind of hooked me into it. Is like, well, I could obviously just do a lot, throw stuff in that the way I would see it, the way I thought it should be, and you guys were really open to that, and so it really kept me going on it.
Yeah, it's really been a group effort in design. As everybody's kind of jumped in. We've had a lot of meetings, even people getting together and just kind of throwing ideas at it, and what everybody likes kind of sticks, and it wasn't just a direction from one point of view. Really, it was that's one of the nice things about being in this indie group is everybody's kind of got some say, and their opinion counts.
Yes, sorry, go ahead, Kev.
Oh, sorry. It's cool too because we usually land pretty much on the same page. We've never really had major like arguments or disagreements about any particular directions. It's usually we kind of we've all been like battlefield, desert combat kind of game that kind of gameplay. We've all kind of landed on that same kind of page. So we've always kind of been in line with like what we like about games for the most part.
Speaking of games like Desert Combat, which I think you worked on that, Kif, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I used to play it a lot. I worked. I was the lead coder for Desert Conflict, which was was a mod for BF2.
Right.
A lot of people that a lot of Desert Combat players that were expecting BF2 to be Desert Combat on steroids. We kind of started that up. I came in fairly early. I wasn't one of the originators, but we wanted to see a lot of the similar gameplay, and we didn't like the heat-seeking missiles and all that stuff that BF2 had. So we made Desert Conflict, which is kind of a an ode to desert combat.
This question kind of goes with that. What do you think makes Ravaged unique in comparison to other FPSs on the market today? Let's start off with Kif.
It's purely skill based. Like I was saying, even on this, there's no like heat-seeking homing missiles. It's just purely skill based and fast and fun, and it's not very gimmicky. It's just we aim to make everything fun and skill. Bottom line.
What about you, Boris? What do you think makes it unique?
I would definitely have to say it's the skill-based stuff involved in there. It's all about having fun, right? You play the game, and if you don't enjoy it, then we didn't do a good job. So for us, it's making sure that it's a fun game to play. The art side also has to look really good. I'm a stickler for having things look pretty and making them look nice, and putting this rock over here and this bush over there just to make it look right. So it's a combination of everything, to be honest with you. It's sound, it's art, it's the programming, it's everything to make it all work.
Sounds great, man. What do you think, Chicken?
Yeah, so far from what we've all seen, it's looking pretty well done, and you guys are still fairly early on, so it's quite nice to see. What's the focus of the game going to be? We see a lot of the vehicle stuff so far in the videos you've put out. Is that pretty much where you guys are focusing, is vehicle on vehicle sort of play, or is there some sort of game design element that puts the players on the ground fighting against each other?
Boris or Kif?
Well, it's actually both, right? Depending on the map that you guys pick, if it's a small enough map, it'll be mostly hand-to-hand and weapon-based fighting. Infantry, exactly. If it's a big enough map, you're gonna want to use the vehicles, just because to travel from one area to the other area is just gonna be insane. But it's both. You can hop in a vehicle if you want, or you can get out of the vehicle. Pull out your machine gun, or do a melee weapon. So it's a combination of both. But a big emphasis is the vehicles, though. The vehicles for this type of genre. I don't think I've ever seen cool looking vehicles that represent this genre, to be honest with you. And that's one of our biggest emphasis for this game. But yes, you can get out of the vehicle and run around and play a traditional first-person shooter.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Sorry, go on.
No, I was gonna digress a little bit more into the specifics of the game. Is this like a server-based, or is it peer-to-peer style?
It's server-based.
Okay. How many number of players?
64.
All right, cool. So is it designed more so that you hop in a vehicle and go ripping around a huge map and fight in a vehicle, or are the maps sort of small, or do you have a mixture? How does that sort of work?
We have all of them. Actually, we have one pretty small map. What's that, Icebreaker? And that's all infantry. There's no vehicles on that one. I believe all the rest of them have vehicles. There's a couple of medium-sized maps, and we're going to have a couple of really large maps with a ton of vehicles. So you're not going to be starved. Like one thing I didn't like about BF2 is that the vehicles are fairly rare. It's like you have people fighting over vehicles. It's like people team killing. If you're on a public server, just to get a vehicle. It's we don't want that. We don't starve you from the vehicles, and there's plenty of them. So yeah, the bigger maps, there's plenty of them. It's pretty much suited to the size of the map. It shouldn't be a problem as far as that's concerned.
But it sounds like you guys haven't restricted it to specifically vehicle on vehicle. You do have smaller maps where you get to engage people with just normal, regular guns. Yeah,
like that Icebreaker map. That's just all infantry. There's no vehicles. And the medium maps, they're just smaller vehicles, and you don't have to have them. You don't have to use them. There's a lot of infantry, or just either one.
How big are some of the maps in comparison to games that you've seen in the past, like BF2 and Desert Combat? Like, what is your biggest map compared to? Just out of curiosity, Boris.
I'll let Kif answer that question.
Okay, Kif.
Oh, okay. It's funny. I guess the Battlefield series were pretty much the same. Overall for the maps. Well, at least like 1942, they had like real small infantry maps, right? And they had the larger maps like El Alamein and all that. They're pretty much the same area as that. Like our larger map, was it Resource Control, Boris?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, that's it's a huge map. Like a Battlefield size map.
So when you're saying huge, it's literally like massive.
Well, yeah, you played El Alamein, right, on Battlefield 1942?
I vaguely remember it. All I remember was was there air vehicles on that map? I remember a lot of tanks.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that was a huge map.
Yeah, it's a large Battlefield map, about that size.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd probably be about the limit in size.
And I also got a few follow-up questions, but some from IRC that people are dying to hear. What game modes do you have that you can say? Kif?
Well, we have one called Thrust. That's a game mode. It's kind of like a push style game mode where there's you have a series of control points, and you're pushing back and forth where you have to go in sequence. You can't jump around and to the back of the line. You have to it's like a tug of war push style. You want to talk about the resource control, Boris?
Yeah, also in the vein of making this post-apocalyptic, I'm sure you've seen many movies. In all these movies, the resources have run out, and everybody's trying to steal one another's resource. Be it food, water, guns, whatever it is. So the other one that we're going for is basically trying to steal the other guy's resource, right? So we're working on. We have some cool ideas, and we're working on figuring out ways where maybe we can use large-scale vehicles and steal pallets of weapons and oil drums and stuff like that. So this is the stuff that we're talking about as another type of gameplay.
So how many gameplay types let me reword that. How many gameplay types will be at launch? 2. Okay.
We already have the one Boris is just talking about. It's resource control. That's the name of a map and the game mode. We already have a resource control game type that's already working. It's kind of like an extended capture the flag, but there's more than one flag on each side. So we're going to add to that, like he was saying, like pallets or resources for the vehicles, in addition to flag type resources.
Yeah, imagine capture the flag. You take a flag and you run it to the other guys, to your own base, and you get points. This is more of a cooperative team thing where you're capturing a huge resource and your whole team has to help you bring it to your base. Otherwise, you don't get those points. And it works hand in hand with the genre, right? Because you're going into the other guy's base and you're stealing either oil drums or weapons, so stuff like that. So it makes everybody play more as a team, because if you don't, then nobody's going to score any points.
Right. So did you have anything to add to that?
No, continue on.
Okay. Oh, this is going to be an interesting question. Kif, will there be unlocks or level ups like in a lot of games nowadays?
We're not totally decided on that, but I keep trying to talk him out of it.
Say it again?
It's possible. It's still up in the air, but I keep trying to talk him out of it. I mean, it's not like something that they're really pushing, but it comes up, and I'm always the one that's like, no, there's no unlocks, no this, no that. Just everyone's on the same level playing field, and I've never been a fan of that stuff, to be honest.
Like Kif used the word gimmicky before. I think a bunch of us feel like some of those things are gimmicky things that they did for consoles, and do they really add fun to the gameplay? Is really the question that comes out, and a lot of times I don't see how it does.
Yeah, I mean, I've played Battlefield since Desert Combat in 1942, and I've seen it with and without unlocks. As long as it's fun, I guess it's enjoyable. I mean, I don't have any problems either way, but whatever's best, right?
I thought the unlocks, like the for the weapons, really made really hurt BF2 in my opinion, because when you started off, you had those, it was like you're shooting a 22, just like pea shooters, and all these kids that played 24/7, just like one-shot kills, and it's like, man, it's like wasn't much fun for me.
Said you wanted to ask something about the distribution?
Yeah, just wondering if it's like how you guys are gonna put it out. Is it going out over Steam, or are you gonna do other digital distribution platforms like Direct to Drive?
Currently, it's going to go through Steam, and we're still trying to work things out in other ways, but we're definitely going through Steam right now.
Cool.
Okay. What is your collaboration like? Is it distributed? How do you guys do your work and stuff?
John, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, basically we run a dev site, and we have certain tasks that we come up with, and individuals will handle those tasks, and other things may come up along the line where they're at their own tasks and kind of like self-manage themselves. And then there'll be other types of communications that we'll have where we're talking a lot on TeamSpeak on a nightly basis, and a lot of group emails that kind of go out and conversations that go back and forth.
Okay, sounds like you guys are pretty organized.
I think he meant like Perforce kind of organization.
Perforce, what is that?
Oh, sure. But like file source control, file control. Basically, it's a way that we're all able to work on the current build and check files out, so that as you're developing scripts, they can be updated and everybody will get the live version once they sync their own build up to that. So you never have conflicts and so forth.
It's a versioning control system. It's yeah, like you said, you check out a file, and it's like we're working on the same file, and he checks in some changes. Then I'll have to synchronize to it, and if there's like any conflicts, you got to do a merge on them and all that. So it keeps everyone, we all have the same code. When anyone submits new code, everybody gets it, off the server.
Yeah, I would have to say that the toughest challenge for us, besides being indie, which comes with a lot of challenges, but the toughest challenge is we're a virtual studio. We did it that way for many reasons. One, because you'll probably get the best talent all around the world versus just in your local area where you live. And two, once we're official and everything's out and we become a 100% game studio, I think we're going to keep it virtual. It keeps costs down, and everybody wants to work from their house, to be honest with you. Some people have families and they want to be close to their families, and I can't blame them. I have my own family, so it works this way really well. And we worked out a way, just like John and Kif said, where we're always on TeamSpeak at night. There's some guys in Russia who get on TeamSpeak. For us, when we start at night, it's early morning for them. So they start working when we start working. So it's kind of funny that way. But yeah, and we figured out a way to manage our file structure and systems. So this way, when somebody picks out something and they're working on it, the other person's not overriding it. So we figured the whole virtual studio thing out. It's been working great so far.
And plus, I like to code in the nude, so it's perfect.
And that's why we want to see Kif.
You don't.
All right, Chicken, you're up.
Yeah, we saw the video of the trike, the guy driving around the trike, and the leaning and stuff that was put into that. How does that play a part in the handling of the trike, and what sort of challenges did you guys face in coding that into the game?
Oh boy, you want to start, Boris? No.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it had. I'm kind of a pain in the ass. I'm sure Kif can attest to that. And and I come up and I'm like, well, you know what would be cool is if your mouse could control the guy and tilt the vehicle. And then Kif would go to me and goes, that would be cool, but it's a lot of programming. And then Kif would, in a couple of hours, figure something out and show it to me. I'm like, holy crap, that's awesome. So, a lot of the ideas go that way. We look at something and we're like, oh, this would be cool. And then Kif will say, all right, I'll give it a shot. And he brings it back, and then we modify it back and forth 100 times. Go ahead, Kif. Why don't you continue?
Yeah, actually, I thought it was going to be harder to do that, but it wasn't too bad. I mean, to get a lot of the details, some of the polish was a little work, but the overall physics, it came out, fairly straightforward, because, I know how to do physics, math. But, yeah, it just came out pretty good. I thought it would be kind of hard to control it, but just a little bit of tweaking, and it came out all right. And that's another point I kind of wanted to make, is that our vehicles, we didn't just want, just a bunch of lame vehicles. They had to feel right, and be, again, skill-based. But, it's since I started on the vehicles, I always wanted to make them feel kick-ass, not just some arcadey, stupid, whatever kind of, vehicle. Just, they had to feel right, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. So how does the whole lean thing play into driving the trike versus a typical quad in a different game? Like, how is your stuff a little bit different from anything else we've seen?
Well, the trike that we have, and we actually have a quad in there as well, they both use the lean system. And the thing that makes it really fun with that whole lean system is that, let's say, for example, you're driving really, really fast and you want to make a sharp turn. If you don't lean into the turn, you're going to flip over. The vehicle will flip over, and you'll flip over and fall out the vehicle. So you have to use your leans if you don't want to fly out of the vehicle. Also, when you are jumping off a ramp, it helps you control where the direction of the vehicle too, so this way you don't flip around and fall out of the vehicle again.
Cool.
When I actually coded it, I actually went for like a realistic kind of physics simulation. It's tweaked a little bit, to make it, playable, but it is like as if you're leaning into it, and you can see in the video how it shifts the weight around on the suspension of the vehicle. So basically, it shifts your center of mass and torques you as a torque to the vehicle in any given direction. You could go forward and backward, left, right, whatever.
Good stuff.
Cool. Do you guys, you have the trike, you have the quad that I saw in a picture on your site. What are the other ground vehicles you have? I think, is it a Mustang model?
Well, we did something that represents like a hot rod of our time, I guess, right? Because this post-apocalyptic time period happens, not too far from now. So it's a muscle car from this time period that we modified to kind of resemble some car, but not really. So yeah, we have something like that as a ground vehicle. That vehicle is actually really, really cool. I think you've seen it in the video where the guys are hanging off the back. One guy's like laying down on the trunk, inside the trunk. That's a pretty cool vehicle, actually.
It's like a charge thing, isn't it?
Sort of, yeah. Sort of.
I have a few questions in one from IRC that I've been meaning to ask. Is there going to be joystick support for pilots?
Yeah, there will be. Yeah. Basically, any input device an Unreal Engine game can take, it'll be supported. I still haven't tried it yet, but it shouldn't be a problem. I got to dig one of my old joysticks out, out of the closet there, and I'll start making sure that works at some point.
Also, a few people are asking about mod tools and anti-cheat.
Valve anti-cheat, and we'll have a global ban list through the Archon tools, through the dedicated server tools. What was the other one?
Mod tools.
Probably not. There's a lot of issues with that. It's still up in the air. It's not for sure either way. we're leaning towards no, but that could change.
Okay. And one last one from the IRC. Is there going to be any type of third-party or first-person spectate?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I've been working on that lately, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I guess the one other thing we forgot to mention is that the thing that I like about our game is you can actually see the characters too, so you don't have to just be in first-person view. You can go to third-person view and see what the character is doing. And personally, I like third-person. I know the other guys on the team like first-person, but you do have the ability of going back and forth whenever you want.
Can you look behind you?
Yep.
Ooh,
no.
What
do you mean by look behind you?
No, you're always looking for, the camera's always looking forward.
Yes,
you're like looking over their shoulder.
Oh, okay. Okay,
yes,
that's cool.
Exactly.
Said?
So you guys mentioned that you're not really doing the mod tools and stuff out of the box, so to speak. Do you guys have any plans to allow for some sort of community mapping?
We're talking about that. We haven't decided.
Yeah, I mean, if that would have to be kind of a mod tool kind of thing. It's not for sure. So I mean, I don't want to throw a big wet blanket on it, but.
All right. And then DLC. You guys have any sort of plans for add-on content post-release?
You mean? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kev.
No, go for it.
So you talk about stuff after we release new maps and stuff like that?
Yeah, just post-launch support.
Yes, of course. We definitely believe in supporting the game once we release it. It's not going to be something that we release and then we say, it's done. We are 100% on board, and we have a bunch of cool vehicles that we're going to release soon after we release the game. Something that, obviously we haven't shown and we're not going to show until, it's ready, but some really cool stuff. That's all I can really say.
Okay.
Yeah, yep. Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead. He said
I was just going to say, what kinds of weapons are you going to have in the game, and or that you can announce?
I mean, a lot of it is... If you think about it, it's what you can find in the post-apocalyptic world, right? So there'll be melee weapons, bats, crowbars. What else did we put in there? Axes, and I think a butcher axe, knives, and stuff like that for melee. And then you'll have your machine guns, your handguns, stuff like that. And
what about the bombs?
Yes, you'll have unique bombs as well, because things aren't manufactured anymore. So, like, one of the characters has something called a soda bottle bomb. Basically, it's like a soda plastic bottle filled with beads and gunpowder, and it's got like a iPod device for the detonator duct tape to it. So it's like unique stuff like that.
That's pretty clever.
That's pretty cool. That thing's cool.
Can you throw some of the melee weapons?
We're working on that as well.
Cool. So you got what kind of a bomb would you call that? The iPod soda bomb?
Yeah,
the soda bomb. Yeah, that was fun doing. Boris got all the animations for it, like pressing the button, cocking back, and holding it, and the release. So you can cook it, and it's like, okay, here's this animation. It's like so I had to code all that to make it work right, and it was a lot of fun doing that,
So, John, we haven't really discussed much about the UI, but what can you tell us about what you've worked on in the UI for the game?
So, basically, front end stuff, server browser, standard features that you would have had in a Battlefield 2 type of game. All your control settings and so forth, but a lot of time spent more in the HUD and in the spawn menu, which would give you like your class selection. We have a spawn map in there as well, and those types of whatever types of elements that you might have in those screens.
Okay, so you would compare it a lot to the Battlefield 2 user interface, or is it a unique interface on its own?
Yeah, I would compare it to the Battlefield 2 interface. It's definitely got some some things that I think are going to be a little different. Nothing I could really discuss now, but it's definitely going to be more modernized, a little more in your face, and pretty cool looking from what we're doing right now.
What about Steamworks integration, like friending someone in game, all that kind of stuff?
Yep, we're definitely working on that. They provide a lot of great support for that, so that's all being worked on right now.
Cool. Any questions, Rob or Chicken?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you got 32 players per side in a match, you gonna have any sort of way to break those down into squads? And if so, are there going to be any squad-specific sort of features to help you guys achieve goals?
That's one thing we don't have, actually. We may or may not add that. I'm not sure. We haven't really talked about that too much, to be honest, and I've been kind of wondering. But we don't have it. We don't have squads right now.
For me, one of the big things with this game is I'm looking for something different in the sense that this is not a military game. We're getting away from all the scores of military games that have come out in the past, and this is a little bit more of like the groups of people that would be left over after the apocalypse and so forth. So you wouldn't necessarily have that type of organization in that world, in that setting.
Okay, cool. So it sounds like you guys are going more for how would I say this? More for the gritty, in your face, just all out carnage, trying to get resources as opposed to organized military combat. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're trying to stay true to the genre as much as we can.
But of course, I mean, there's like I've been working a lot on like the mini map and first person HUD. There's a lot of blinking things like when resources are captured and they're moving across the map and control points are being taken. It's pretty obvious, to give you that situational awareness where things are going on. So I mean, it's kind of a self-organizing kind of thing, right? Instead of people giving orders and this and that, it should be pretty obvious where your team needs to be at any given time.
So it sounds like... Oh, sorry, John.
Oh, that's okay. No, I was just going to say that, yeah, one of the things that we love to do is, especially early on in this project, is we love to look back on YouTube at a lot of the old Desert Combat videos, and we just, loved watching the things that people did, and, the stuff that you would just die laughing over. I can't believe that happened, and that type of stuff, and that really over the top gameplay is probably the big drive that we're looking for to do. And then as Ken said, we're looking to drive the important things more with the UI, and instead of people thinking more strategically and so forth.
Cool. So yeah, it basically sounds like you guys are letting the players have the freedom in deciding where and what they want to do, but you give them some indicators and a little bit of help to not get lost, let's say.
Absolutely.
Right. Visual cues, announcements and all that. So, it's people are kind of drawn towards it, and it's fairly obvious what's going on, and it's, I mean, how often, like in the squads, in Battlefield or whatever, Call of Duty or whatever, when, they say, hey, go do this and that, unless you're, in a strict clan or something, usually you're like, yeah, whatever,
Yeah, sort of like the COD play by yourself mentality, but in a bigger world with more stuff to do.
Sure.
Cool. So the roadmap for you guys in the next few months, any sort of, can we talk about release date or any sort of target time of the year you're trying to get the game out?
I mean, it's going to be pretty general, like we say in our website. Early spring we're going to do the beta, and then sometime in summer is the release date.
Okay, cool. And for the beta and pre-orders and stuff, can you guys outline what you have going on your site?
What do you mean exactly? I'm not quite sure I understand. What would you want me to outline?
Well, you have like a pre-order set up, so you can pre-order the game, but there's different levels of that, and you can get a beta access as well.
Yes, with every pre-order, you do get beta access. So as soon as we release the beta, you will get a Steam key, and you'll be able to play that beta with us and help us beta support it.
Which will be soon.
Yes, because I think spring is right around the corner.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of an inside joke on that one.
It depends which part of Canada you live in.
Oh. Good point.
All right, so is there different levels of pre-orders you can do, like a gold or a silver, that type of deal?
Yeah, I'm not the one who set it up, but I believe gold is gold support. You're paying a little more, but you're paying more because you believe in the game, you believe in what we're doing. I just want to add one more time that this isn't a $1 million studio. I've worked for $1 million studios before, and they've employed hundreds of artists and programmers to create games. I'll have to be honest with you, our team is very, very small. But it's very efficient. We have probably some of the best guys in the industry working with us. Like I said, the virtual thing helps us because we get the best guys all over the globe. And, we do it as a labor of love. We really love this game. We believe in it. And that's why we put all our time and effort into it. So if you look at the quality that you're getting out of an indie game, things that we're reading are, people are having a hard time believing that this is an indie game. Especially when they look at the stuff that they see. So you can see how dedicated we are. We're sticklers for quality, and we're sticklers for attention, making sure that things work right, feel right, play right. We're doing this for fun, but we want everybody to enjoy it, so we put a lot of effort and time into it. Like I said, we don't have the kind of budget that the $1 million studios do. A lot of it is all time that everybody devotes to it, and some cash that comes out of some of our pockets.
Hey, you guys still amaze me, man. Like a lot of the animations you do, Boris, and like all the artwork you guys come up with, it's like it really pushes me to try to make the code complement it, to make it work right and all that. You guys blow me away, man. Vice
versa. I mean, the stuff that everybody on this team does, it's amazing. Like I said before, we've had people come and go. Some people who believed in it so much, and then they started and couldn't contribute much. And then we had people from the beginning who started, and they're still here today because they work really hard, and you can see the effort shows in the game and the stuff that they put out. I'm very lucky, I should say, that we were able to meet these people and have them believe in this game as much as I do.
Yeah, just to add to that a little bit, we've all, previously said, with full-time jobs and so forth, but the name To Dawn comes literally because people are working through the night till dawn, and it's been very, very challenging for, in some cases, a learning curve that went along with developing it. In other cases, trying to come up with the unique ideas and so forth. But I think that a lot of people will be amazed at the level of gameplay and art that we've actually come at with such a small team.
Sounds like you guys are making great progress. And for anyone listening to the show right now, the site is 2dawn. That's the number 2dawn.com. I'd like to thank you guys, all of you, for coming on the show. Boris, thanks for being on.
No worries. Thank you for having us.
John, thank you.
And thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Kith, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
And my co-host, Tastes Like Chicken and Carnot. Thank you, Chicken.
Welcome.
And thank you, Carnot.
Yeah, nice listening to you guys. Hope we have you back real soon.
All right, guys.
All right, anytime.
Definitely.
All right, guys. That's it for the 14th edition of GameTheoryCast. Thanks for tuning in.
So anyway, we're between banks right now. Just make those checks out to cash. Cave Johnson, we're done here.